do after a couple of hours. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. For those who don't know me, I'm Patrick and I love bullet journaling, art and calligraphy. And in this video we're about to try out gouache. I'm very excited for that because I'm always eager to get in touch with new medias, and gouache was one of the things that I really wanted to try out. I did a little bit of research as a preparation for this video and it made me even more interested to dive into the medium of gouache. I have bought and I got something, which means I do have now this collection of stuff for this video. So I have bought myself those 12 gouache colors that now come in tubes. And I've bought myself these art fiber brushes. And in addition to that, I got those beautiful gouache tints and some watercolor paper. And there is a funny story that I would like to share why I do have two types of gouache now. So, for those who don't know, I'm working full-time. My team is really fun and they are really cute all together, and we kinda introduced the tradition of buying ourselves presents, like small presents, for birthdays, but also like we do a Secret Santa every year and it's really fun. And for my birthday, my birthday is in June, and I asked them if I could have gouache paint because I knew that I would like to try out gouache, and therefore they were like, say no more, we can do that. However, there has been a shorter period where it looked like they weren't able to get it in time, so they would just buy me something else or gift me a voucher or something, which meant, oh, then I maybe don't have gouache paint. And that gave me the reason to say, okay, then I try to get to some stores and get gouache myself, which meant that I went to a local store. It was the Müller, if for some who would like to know where I got it from. So this is available at Müller, and I got those 12 gouache colors in those tubes. This is the way that I kind of know that gouache exists, as well as in those tins where you have this gouache color in this texture available that you can basically scrape out of. I got those, and I also got some brushes because I honestly don't have any brushes at home because I've never really used brushes before. And then my birthday came and I got my presents, and at the end they still got the gouache paint, which is kind of fun, and I'm also very happy and I'm very grateful for my team, and I'm really looking forward to use them as well. And in this video I'd also like to try out both. I would like to open that with you. I've opened it already, but I would like to show you. So this is the Caran d'Ache Genève Gouache Studio. It's with 15 tints of gouache, but it says that it is something in between gouache and watercolor, which means that it says you have the best of both worlds. I'm not sure whether that is going to affect something or not, but we will see. So if you open it, you see that we have a brush that I'm just putting out because it might fall out. And then we do have those gorgeous 15 colors, and all of these are tints, so those tints can be put out. And they can also be bought individually if you are, for example, running out of this green. And yeah, this color is a very sturdy texture, so it looks like watercolor, but it says it's gouache. I'm very interested in how to use that, but I imagine that I can use it as if it was watercolor, but it maybe dries as gouache. Let's see. And there is white still in a tube available to, yeah, get shades of those colors. When it comes to my gouache tints, let's open that up as well. In here we have 12 tubes of gouache color. It's titanium white, lemon, vermilion red, carmine red, cerulean blue, Prussian blue, brilliant violet, light green, chrome green, yellow ochre, burnt sienna and black. I think that's a really nice palette to be able to combine them, and I think it is a really nice base, and they are not too big, which is good for me because, you know, I would like to use it and I would like to start with using gouache in general, but I don't want them to dry out or anything and then I have big tubes of gouache that I might potentially have to throw away, which I really would not want. So for a starter pack, I think this one from Müller is really nice. At the same time, I feel really fancy about my Caran d'Ache palette right here. The one thing that I also got as a present was this watercolor paper. It's 190 GCM. I have 14 pages here and it does have a beautiful texture. I'm trying to show you, but let's see whether that works or not. It does have a medium grain texture and it looks amazing. I'm really looking forward, and from the research I know that watercolor paper can be used to do gouache paintings, which makes sense, especially because gouache is also water soluble. My main research has consisted of watching YouTube videos of people explaining how gouache works, and I do have 2 videos in particular that I really enjoyed. And in one, there have been some exercises that you can try out, and these are exactly the ones that I would like to try out. This video will consist of 3 parts, more or less. First, I would like to try out gouache. I have never used gouache before. I've never really used water and paint to create the actual gouache paint. So I will try things out. I will have a look at how opaque they are and how it works with the brushes and everything. Then I will try some exercises of blending and of using different techniques so I can have a look at how all of this works. And then Jess has also suggested an exercise of 6 small paintings that you can make easily using the different techniques that you can use with gouache, and I would like to do something similar as well. So yeah, we will do 3 different things. Try out gouache in general, like I will use a blank piece of paper and I will just do whatever tickles my fancy. Then I will try out specific techniques and have a look at how gradients work and stuff. And on 1 A4 paper I will try to create 6 mini paintings using all of those techniques that you can use with gouache. And I would say we jump right into it. Alright, so I tried gouache for the very first time, and this is what came out of it. What I tried, or what I thought of trying, is to do some layering. So I colored in some area, and I also had a look at what happens if I just add water and try to make a blending effect of watering down the pigments after some time, and I put some gouache on top of it as soon as it was dry, and I really enjoy how it looks like right now. That's a characteristic, but still I really enjoy how opaque those colors are. It's really lovely, and those roses or berries or whatever those dots of red are, they look really good, and yeah, the color is really opaque. Then I also tried some layering and this washing effect to create those mountains and this misty effect on the bottom of those mountains, which worked really nicely. Then on the side of it, I was looking into modifying my brush to get a foliage texture. I would say at the beginning it worked out quite well, and it even looked like small tiny trees, but I think I went over it a bit too often, and then yeah, it still looks like sprinkles, but I think I will have to look into that technique a bit more. And then I also thought like, well, let's just have a look at what's going on over there, and I wanted to do some gradient technique, and I wanted to do this with two colors, and whysoever I decided to do this with blue and orange, and this is what came out of it. So we see that there is a bit of purple now in between, and there is a bit of a gradient. I think it could be a bit better, like there could be a bit of a nicer overlay, but I'm still quite happy about how it looks like. And well, it wouldn't be me if I wouldn't do some sort of calligraphy, right? So I tried to do some brush pen calligraphy with an actual brush, because believe it or not, I've never done that before, and it was kind of fun. So for trying all of this out, I didn't want to already use the watercolor paper because it's so precious to me. I don't want to like ruin it for some testing out, and that's why I was using some card paper that also has 300 GSM, so it's also very thick paper, but it just doesn't have a lot of texture on it or something. But it worked quite nicely. So this is the front and this is the back. You see it didn't bleed through at all, even though I was using a lot of water on the gradients and also on the mountains here. And it worked quite well, and I have to say I felt like a little child. It was so much fun. I kind of forgot how fun it is to use paint and to do something like that. And the next step is that I'm trying to do the exercises Jess has suggested to make in her video. She wants you to try out the different techniques packed into an exercise, which is kind of fun, and I'm going to do that next. And I would say we do it now, and we will hear each other afterwards again. session of gouache is now over. I'm very happy. I was looking into different techniques, like how thick the paint can be or should be depending on what you want, and also like using more paint and having a really opaque, beautiful area rather than making the gouache look like watercolor, and also layering and stuff, but also gradients. Like I did have another look at gradients, and in particular the one that looks like the sunrise is kind of fun. I was trying to do this foliage technique where you are using your brush and you are basically bending it so it creates smaller tips on top, which allows you to create a grass effect or a foliage effect in general. I was trying that as well, however that didn't work out. I think I don't have the brushes here for that, but that's not that big of a deal. I do have also very thin brushes, and I might use those to create grass. That is how it looks like. Yeah, so when it comes to the layering part, the thing is the yellow color actually layered quite well. The only problem is that I still had some black color in the brush, which meant that the yellow and the black have merged together, which means that is not a beautiful yellow stripe now on top of this black rectangle, but you can still see that it is the actual paint of the brush from the second layer that you can see and not see through the rectangle from underneath. And yeah, I also used this technique to create those tiny little stars, and that worked out quite well. Yeah, I'm kinda happy with how it turned out. It is so much fun. I could just non-stop do that right now. And as I said, I do have one particular thing that I would like to do, and that's a collection of 6 mini paintings that are rather easy and that I am trying out now, that uses all of the different techniques. So let's go on with using gouache. session is over. I now tried, you can see them in the background, I tried to recreate those small paintings from Jess using the different techniques that you can do with gouache, and they turned out like that. Okay, so the first thing that you can see here as a difference is that I didn't really use any tape to make nice borders. I don't really have one at hand right now, so I didn't use it, and I was like, you know what, that is not that big of a deal, because that is also kind of fun to not have those borders. I kind of enjoy that. In comparison to Jess, of course, it's like not as good as hers, and there are a lot of things that I can still improve. Like when it comes to dry brushing, for example, I feel like the clouds that I created using dry brushing, they don't look as natural as they probably should, and I'm not entirely sure why, but if some of you see those clouds and maybe know what's going on, please tell me in the comments. When it comes to foliage, so all three foliage paintings, I think I'm really enjoying the fact that we have different green tones going on, but when it comes to the techniques, I would say they are not already the way that they should. I don't really have a brush that splits on top, so you have a lot of tiny tips that you can use to create a grass effect with your color. That's why I was trying to do the same thing with a very, very tiny brush, with a very thin one. And the thing is, it was still not thin enough. I honestly don't really enjoy how this looks like. It looks more abstract than the way that I imagined it to be, but that's the learning curve. I'm at the start of the learning curve. So when it comes to the mountains, I think they turned out quite well. The only thing that happened was I do have 3 layers of mountains, and the third one, I started that one way too early. It was too wet still in that area, and that's why the colors are not that opaque on the top. And the washing, I didn't even start doing any wash out down there, since I knew, okay, that layer is kinda, yeah, more or less messed up. But at the end, I think it still looks nice. I'm really enjoying that technique, and I might use that technique in the future. And when it comes to gradients, I have to say I love gradients. They look amazing, and I'm quite happy with that purple sky and the stars and everything that I did. So I'm probably most proud of that one. And maybe that's even one of the easiest. However, that's totally fine, since I'm at the very beginning of using gouache. And honestly, I'm so happy about this, and looking at all of them together, I'm still really happy, and I'm kind of proud looking at what I can do after a couple of hours of using gouache. And I'm so looking forward to improve. I'm so looking forward to use gouache in the future still. And with that, we've come to the end of this video. I want to thank you very much for watching. If you have any ideas what I can do next using gouache, please tell me in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you would like to see more of me, of my bullet journaling, art and calligraphy content, then please subscribe. And with that, I again thank you very much for watching, and we will see each other in my next video. Bye!